getting brutal over here with this trans argument. And as they used to say, excuse me, if America sneezes, we catch a cold. So Trump came back into power, reversed some of the Biden administration rulings on the whole trans scenario, issue, argument, debate, and it seemed to mark a change in the tide. So, in a nutshell, we've had these rulings over here in the Supreme Court, and I have to say, hats off to the Scottish ladies who kind of fought many battles over many years to culminate in this Supreme Court ruling. And the other thing I'll throw out there is 5 years it took the Supreme Court to look into this matter, only to conclude that what the definition of a woman is the definition that it was before this whole thing kind of turned into some kind of a circus. So I thought that we were really at the you could say the vigorous end of this current trans debate coming back into the forefront. I mean, this is an example of what we were dealing with over here, or have been.
Secondly of all, I think, is Steve Race, who is the Labour MP for...
And look, everyone's got the right to protest and campaign. How you do it is something that's always going to be questioned.
Exeter. Now, women's toilets, changing rooms and sports. I think that's utterly spineless. And it appears that the Prime Minister might actually be completely beholden to this lot. Radical trans protesters held placards like hashtag...
So that's Saturday gone. And this is where I said it in my last video, this is an update that if you're protesting for female rights as trans women, and you're kind of demonstrating, the femininity that runs through your veins and, your entire being, demonstrating the strength of your male aggression, I don't think is the best way to argue your case.
Kill J.K. Rowling. They also held posters saying the only good turf is a dead one, with a symbol of someone hanging there. Bring back witch burning they had as well, and that was about burning J.K. Rowling to death. There was also that one there you saw with bullet holes. I will make you listen, which I think is a threat, really, isn't it not, to open fire on people? There was that as well, which is defacing statues to suffragette Millicent Fawcett, with graffiti saying, and sorry if I'm offending anyone here, I'm just saying what it says. It says fag rights, as well as other statues. The police appear to have done next to nothing. So the police are there. You've got these...
So as you can see, it's wild over here. So we go back to the States now and see how you lot are managing over there. Because this is the same argument, both sides of the Atlantic.
The Republicans love to fearmonger. That's their currency. It galvanizes people to vote based on fear, not on facts. I always like to say, don't vote on feelings, vote on facts. Ground our viewers right now on why making trans people the boogeyman is just something that the Republicans want to do right now. To the point, they're going to move on from that, and they're going to make another group targeted, and the next round of fear-mongering continues.
That gets right to the heart of it. So there are two things. First of all, according to polling, most Americans believe they don't personally know a trans person, which makes it a lot easier to be bystanders when the trans community is attacked. The second thing, of course, is that only one party is...
So look at that contrast to the States and to what happened over here Saturday gone. How this battle is being fought or presented by activists on both sides. It's quite, okay, the victims over there in the States, whereas over here, the victims seem to be the ones displaying the most aggression on the attack. Very strange.
Really talking about trans issues. It's the Republican Party. They've made trans issues one of their central topics in campaigning and the national discourse, what have you, the more the Democrats ignore this, the more it's going to come back to haunt us in future elections. Republicans are not going to let up on this. They're not going to leave it alone. They're not going to stop this, and we're going to suffer. And here's what I find ironic about all this. It's very easy to fight back on trans issues. The science is on our side. Every credible medical organization has come out and endorsed gender affirming care and said that the trans military ban.
Now that's the funny thing of how these arguments are fought. Both sides always completely suggest that science is on their side, like this particular person just did in their argument.
And is ridiculous and unnecessary. They've said that trans women should be housed in women's prisons. I mean, these are all policies that make sense if you're willing to fight back. But the more we don't fight back, the more Republicans are going to engage in bad faith and run up a score on Democrats. And I think we all deserve.
Hi, I'm Joe Delaney. Today we're going to talk about what's the fastest way to get to a 10% body fat and still look.
Boy. So we got to talk about more Democrat Party infighting, because as I told you guys, the Democrat Party, which is a far left party, is currently being taken over by the far left.
And that seems to be the problem you lot have over there in the US and us lot have over here in the UK. In the Labour Party, you have some of the most far left, you could say extremist members or sections of the party moving further and further to the forefront and, coming across as though they're representing the whole body of the organization. And the same thing seems to be happening over in the States. And the strangest thing is some of these minority voices are getting a big mouthpiece to get their message across.
Okay, and the far left does not want the current far left Democrat Party to become more centrist or to move to the right. However, there are some Democrats, like, for example, Rahm Emanuel, who is the former mayor of Chicago and also an ambassador to Japan. He is coming out and saying that, hey, Democrats need to become a little bit more centrist, right? Democrats need to the right. It's not okay to just stay where we're at, right? We're a little bit too far left. We need to move to the right. And he has went on show after show, basically saying that, hey, Democrats, you guys are going in the wrong direction by continuing to go more further left and to worry about some of these issues, like, for example, these cultural issues, like trans issues that are turning.
You see, that's kind of what happened over here with our great Labour leader and President Starmer. Now, he was doing his best to kind of sit on the fence, although leaning more to the ambiguous, we can't really define what a woman is side of things until this Supreme Court ruling gave him a get out. So now he's positioning himself slightly more to the center, which you want to grab people from, that side, and that side. You've got to be somewhere, where people can meet you in the middle.
People off.
I read that the current mayor of Chicago has an approval rating of 6.6%.
Round it up.
Okay. I mean, you were just the ambassador to Japan. If that was your approval rating in Japan, they would do hirakiri on live TV.
They would do it at 27.
I mean, what's going on in Chicago?
Look, I mean, we were talking about this a little earlier. I mean, you have also the mayor of New York not doing well. Obviously, other things also here in Los Angeles not doing well, the mayor here. Look, and then you got mayors like the mayor of San Francisco and other cities that are doing well. So I would say, look, there is a general rule. I had this when I was mayor. Safe streets, strong schools, stable finances. Focus on those three things and your city's going to be fine. We've gone through 5 years where people became way too permissive of culture. They were all, which is why everything's locked up at Walgreens and CVS, and that is a disaster.
Yeah.
And our school.
Joke is, we've got the same thing over here. I was in a Tesco's local a couple months ago. I was just looking for some cheeses, and one of the cheese brands was one solitary piece of cheese, left in the cheese fridge in a see-through clear plastic box, lock on it. £3.25 block of cheese.
And I'll say this about our schools. I don't want to hear another word about the locker room. I don't want to hear another word about the bathroom. You better start focusing on the classroom.
Listen, that's what we want to hear over here because we're dealing with the same said you go to school to do what? Be educated or be politicized?
No, I agree. We had the worst reading. We had the worst reading scores for eighth graders in
Similar
30
here.
years. And nobody, not a governor, not a mayor, not a president, not a secretary of education is talking about it. We're all wrapped up. Look, in seventh grade, if I known that I could have said the word they and got in the girls' bathroom, I would have done it. Okay, this is we literally are a superpower. We're facing off against China with 1.4 billion people, and 2/3 of our children can't read eighth grade level. So it's no more about the lot. Wait a second, I'm on a roll for a second.
Yeah.
No more.
I gave him the light, but
You have another word about the classroom. I don't want to hear another word about the bathroom until you tell me what you're going to do with the classroom.
no.
I know.
I couldn't agree more.
But I think
To be fair, this is
I was
actually
being fair.
no. This is a huge Democratic Party problem. If you look at Democratic cities, they are terribly run. They have incredibly high taxes. It is impossible to build. So the cost of housing. Let me finish. I give you this. Cost of housing is crazy in places like New York and Chicago. If you look at Democratic states, look. You go to look at New York versus Florida. Okay, roughly the same population. The budget of New York State is twice that of Florida. What do they have? Streets paved with gold? I live in New York. I pay the highest taxes in New York. You get nothing for it.
This weekend, we saw the militant trans mafia in full force. Now it's emerged that top Labour ministers and MPs are plotting to...
Hello, welcome back to the show. Delighted to say I'm joined by Amy Gallagher, who's a commentator from the New Culture Forum, but also, importantly, a whistleblower from those...
This trans debate is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Dastardly Frankenstein hospitals, the gender clinics. Amy, we haven't caught up since the Supreme Court ruling. I want to hear your reaction to that, so to speak, because we've covered that ground. But
And just reflect on the similarity between the two countries, the USA, the UK, both Western, democracies, and how we organize ourselves socially, miles apart, socially, culturally, and politically, dealing with the same said trans new this era issues that have got its tentacles as an ideology into everything from the schools to where people go and do their sport to global national sports, the Olympics, etc., and in the highest levels of politics. As, not forgetting the NHS, which is our entire healthcare system. And where does it go?
what have you made of fallout from all of this? The fact that it seems to me, even though you've got the Labour Party going, this has provided clarity, there's certainly large cohorts within the government who want to do what they can to mitigate or dilute this legislation as much as possible.
Well, there's absolutely no apologies as far as I can see. And so many people for years were bullied and hounded out of their jobs. So many people had to fight tooth and nail for this judgment. And now they're just kind of updating their system. But like they don't care anything about the truth. They don't care about women. They don't care.
Labour got a pass and Starmer got a pass on this Supreme Court ruling. Really did.
About what's been happening to so many women up and down the country. They've just said, oh, okay, we've got this ruling, we're just going to change gears now. And it's unbelievable. And you do think it's something as essential as what sex is. If they can just change gears so quickly, you think, well, what else are they doing that on? We know how else do they internally, judge what's true or what's good? You just think, are these people just robots, essentially? It's really worrying to see.
I'm not a big fan of Kemi Badenoch, the new Conservative leader, on most topics. And, I listened to some of her talking points and pinch of salt here and there. Yes, she does like to grab headlines. On this particular topic, though, sex, gender, and the definition of a woman, I think she's been legit. She's, been an honest broker as far as honesty goes in politics. And yeah, I won't fault her on this one.
And good on Kemi Badenoch for pushing back. And she was actually one who did speak up and did meet with Kira Bell and did challenge the Tavistock. So she's, she is the one that should be, speaking up. So good for her. But I mean, the fact that there just hasn't been any apology is just, I mean, it's very.
The Tavistock is the UK clinic that was engulfed in a scandal. That's not too broad a stronger term. Whereby they were giving treatment to adolescents, and I'm not sure. So pinch of salt on this one. Very young children, and distributing puberty blockers until the the law was changed, or I think the government stepped in, and basically they cannot carry out those services on UK shores anymore. Although I think they do run, or some of the people who work there do run a advisory service where they will advise families and anyone seeking that type of treatment, how they can go about getting treatment abroad and managing their conditions. That's the tabernacle. Tabernacle. Yeah.
Disrespectful to all of the women who've had damage done to their bodies, or have had damage done to their bodies of their loved ones, or have lost their jobs, or who received horrendous bullying. And Keir Starmer just doesn't care.
Yeah, and it seems to me as well now that in the wake of this, the vitriol and the nastiness from the pro-trans lobby is really revealing itself. Well, I mean, it's always been vitriolic and nasty, but some of the behaviour has been utterly unedifying lately.
Look, if you've got a beef with women over this safe spaces, shared spaces thing, and what the law says to what women are entitled to in society, I don't think you're gonna. The approach is to call for people's death. Excuse me, call for people to be unalived who have a different perspective to you, and behave in a crude way by, what happened to the statues, basically urinating on statues and the hateful things that were written on the banners. I don't think it's a good way to present your argument, especially in this feministic realm. So if you're males who believe you're actually females and you want to fight for these shared rights, don't go at the women in a masculine way, or you're just going to be, you're charged with misogyny, and it's going to be another reason why it's going to be seen as aggressive males. Try and doing it in a more softer, feminine, or equally strong way. It's just, I don't think that's the way to go.
Not just graffiti on, things like the Millicent Fawcett statue from the suffragette movement, but some of these sort of hashtags going around, some of the posters they're carrying. What is wrong with these people?
It shows their open misogyny, their open hatred of women. Some of them are openly calling TERFs or people like J.K. Rowling to be killed. These are.
See, whether there's a real hatred or not, you present yourself in that way, that's how it's going to be seen.
Highly deranged people, and the irony is they're doing things like urinating in public, right. And that just shows how these are men. They're acting like men. Their claim is that they feel like they're a woman, or that their soul is like the soul of a woman, whatever that means, but they're acting in an extremely aggressive and masculine way. Women don't urinate in public, and as Richard Dawkins pointed out, actually male animals will urinate on land to mark their territory. It's an extremely masculine behavior.
If you think logically, that's kind of self-defeating. I don't see it might make the individuals feel good at the time, let off some steam, as a strategy, definitely self-defeating.
And it's also extremely intimidating behaviour because, of course, it means that men have to expose themselves. That they have to put, pull their pants down, and it's extremely sexualized actually, and intimidating behaviour. So it shows what their real intentions are. Their real intentions are a hatred of women and a desire to want to control them sexually and in the public square, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's fetish, there's sexual stimulation and titillation attached to the want to sort of urinate in public. Time and again in these trans protests, the sort of need for sort of golden showers as a demonstration. And it is deeply disturbing. Like I said, the mask is slipping. What do you make of Sir Keir Starmer? Suddenly realises it's St. George's Day, although it's actually not. This year it's on the 28th because you're not allowed to Saints' Day within a week of Easter. But there you go. He got that wrong. He never gets anything right. And decided to take a photo with a St. George's cross, basically saying, we're going to take back this flag from the far right. Why can't he just let it go? Why couldn't he say something nice about it?
Look, none of us are perfect. He's trying. He does put his foot in his mouth. It seems, at least as far as the media presents or portrays him, quite often. For now, I'm going to cut out and just say thank you for spending some time with myself, Owen Redgate, here at Corner Speak. I'm going to do a brief shout out to the video sponsors, which is Small Debts. They assist you if you have issues getting any kind of money repatriated to your account. If you've been scammed, ripped off, have money withheld, like a rent deposit or something like that, they can represent you and sort that issue out. Check them out, smalldebts.co.uk.
To get your security deposit back or dealing with unfair charges? At Small Debts, our tenant advocate service fights to get your money back. No stress, no hassle. Take control today. Visit smalldebts.co.uk and start your case now.
So, only remains to say thanks for spending a bit of time. I catch up with you till then. Be good, be safe. If you can, be creative. Corner Speak, I'm out.